Right now at 6, neighbors in St. John's on edge after a string of garbage bins intentionally set on fire.
Every time I put my cans out now, I'm like, is he going to set my cans on fire?
Plus, a former congresswoman in the hot seat. Why the president's Labor Department pick is now downplaying her past support for a pro-union bill.
I recognize that that bill was imperfect. And I also recognize that I'm no longer representing Oregon as a lawmaker.
And we're headed inside the new Pod Village that's part of the county's latest effort to help people move toward long-term housing.
Our goal absolutely is to get people stabilized and to move them on their journey.
Caught on camera in the St. John's neighborhood, at least one suspect intentionally setting fires in trash bins, and someone who apparently went a step further by targeting the front doors of a church. And now neighbors tell us they are worried this could escalate. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. That concern has prompted a community meeting that's actually set to start any minute now in St. John's. That's where our Celine Stevens joins us live. So Celine, when did these fires start happening?
Dear Christine, it looks like it became a pattern starting on January 14th. Portland Fire and Rescue confirmed that there were 4 fires in this area, with 3 of them happening right here on North Lombard Street. Now, community members told me recently even more fires have occurred, including at that local church, and now they're worried that it's all connected.
None of us want to wake up on mornings hearing that a house burnt down because the garbage cans caught the house on fire.
Several trash fires have sprung up in the St. John's neighborhood over the last few weeks, some of them being caught on camera. Surveillance footage showing a person appearing to intentionally light the content of the cans on fire.
You can see him come up to the cans, he looks inside, he does something, he puts something inside of there, and then he moves on to the next can.
James Kister caught this on his security cameras on January 14th.
They just absolutely melt. The only thing that's left is a pile of plastic and the metal rod on the back.
Portland Fire and Rescue confirmed that on January 14th, 3 plastic trash cans at 3 different addresses on North Lombard Street were set on fire, along with a dumpster on North Caitland Avenue. Portland police confirmed another can set on fire on January 26th on North Smith Street.
They do seem to be increasing in frequency. It's every week we see new posts on the community Facebook page about new fires that have been started.
While waste bins seem to be the theme, most recently, St. John's All Nations Church also was set on fire on February 17th.
The entry doors are fire-rated metal doors, and thank God that they are, because I believe that's what really saved the building. Parked his bike right here, took the gas can off, and then he went off out of the camera. And then about 2 minutes later, I saw a flash on the inside.
Portland police say that so far, it's too early to know for sure if one person is responsible for the fires, but it's something they are considering.
It makes me feel afraid. You know, every time I put my cans out now, I'm like, is he going to set my cans on fire?
Yeah, you can understand their concern. But Celine, about that church fire, any updates from Portland fire investigators on that?
Christine, Portland Fire and Rescue just says that it's still an open and active investigation. And now remember, that community meeting is taking place right now, where community members are gathered to talk about this latest trend in crime and share information with one another so they all stay vigilant. Back to you.
Celine Stevens reporting live from St. John's. Thank you, Celine.
In your headlines, a husband and wife from a well-known skiing family have now been identified as the victims of Monday's avalanche. The Deschutes County Sheriff's Office says Terrence and Susan Shearshaw were backcountry skiing north of Mount Bachelor Monday at the time of the slide. Friends went to search that night when they failed to return home and found them buried in the snow. Their bodies were recovered yesterday. Both were in their 50s, and Terrence was a real estate broker in Bend, according to his company profile. The Shearshaw family has been involved in the Oregon skiing community since his grandparents opened Bend's first ski shop in the 1930s.
To Salem now, where a man is in jail after police say he was seen walking near the Salem Health Hospital campus with a loaded rifle. Just before 8 o'clock last night, hospital security spotted the man on University Street and called police. Officers say the man ran when approached, shoved the gun into his pants, and repeatedly reached for it. He surrendered after officers used less than lethal rounds and a canine. 25-year-old Luis Castaneda was taken to the Marion County Jail. He faces charges including unlawful possession of a firearm.
Staying in Salem, police are looking for the person who shot out several windows at the Tesla dealership. This is around 5 this morning at the showroom on Mission Street Southeast. It comes nearly a month after a suspected arsonist set a car on fire and smashed a window at the same dealership. No arrests have been made in that case. Last weekend, protesters rallied against company CEO Elon Musk to oppose his controversial role in the Trump administration.
And right now at Portland City Hall, a meeting just got underway where councilors will vote on whether to extend Chief of Police Bob Day's term for the next 3 years. The updated city charter allows the mayor to appoint a police chief subject to council approval. In a memo, Mayor Keith Wilson said he's sticking with Day because he's provided strong leadership, improved public safety, and strengthened relationships with the community. Day joined the police bureau back in 1990, then rose through the ranks. He came out of retirement in 2023 when then Mayor Ted Wheeler appointed him interim chief. The role became permanent last spring. Matt?
All right, Christine, thanks very much. We've got lots of snow in the Cascades, and it's still snowing even though it's 30 degrees. There's been 5 inches of new snow. We're going to see the snow level go up this weekend in a pretty big way. Right now, scattered showers in the Cascades and Coast Range. Really not much left over the valleys as we dry out for a couple of days. You can see there's really nothing offshore on radar, so we're looking good there. So our snowpack, we're doing pretty well across the Northwest. To the north, a little bit less. We saw a decrease in Mount Baker from 95% of average to 86% of average from the middle of January to the middle of February. Here on Mount Hood, we're still running 100 to 120% of average, but those percentages are down just a little bit for Timberline and Meadows. But overall, our snowpack across Oregon is really healthy. This is a map of Oregon. Here's Portland, here's Bend, here's Baker City over here. And everywhere you see one of these blue dots, that's where snowpack is at least 150% of average. If I put some overlays on this, you can see the blue areas, all 150% of average or greater. In fact, Southeast Oregon, 193% of average. The Willamette Basin, 116% of average. So we're doing quite well with our snowpack here in Oregon. We will dry out on Thursday and Friday, and the snowpack kind of takes a hit over the weekend because the snow level goes up so much. We will be adding water to it. That's a cryptic way of saying we're going to get a lot of rain. We'll show you the atmospheric river setup, and then 60s as we dry out next week, guys.
A lot of people will be looking forward to that. Thanks, Matt.
I recognize that I'm no longer the lawmaker, and I do not believe that the Secretary of Labor should write the laws. It will be up to Congress to write those laws and to work together.
That was former Oregon Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer today on Capitol Hill, fielding some pretty difficult questions from both parties during her confirmation hearing for Labor Secretary.
Tim Gordon listened in on that hearing, then checked in with some key senators about how they think it went. Hi, Tim.
Hi, guys. Well, the one-term Congresswoman from Happy Valley faced questions about where her allegiance would lie and about her past support for pro-union legislation.
For Republicans, Chavez-DeRemer's pro-union history is a key concern, with Senator Rand Paul and others questioning her support for a pro-labor bill when she was in Congress. At the hearing on Wednesday, she said she no longer supports key elements of it related to right-to-work states. And Democrats are trying to figure out if the support she showed in Congress for labor unions and workers' rights in general is even still in place. Washington Senator Patty Murray asking if Chavez-DeRemer would stand against what she described as President Trump's illegal federal funding and worker cuts.
I have not talked to the president on this issue, and I do not believe.
So you won't commit to following the law if the president tells you to violate it?
I will commit to following the law, and I do not believe the president would ever ask me to break the law.
Murray is not saying yet if she will support Chavez-DeRemer. I asked her Wednesday afternoon what she thought of her testimony and the writing maybe on the wall.
I was really extremely disappointed with her performance today. She is asking to be Secretary of Labor. She is asking to be a voice for workers and to make sure their rights are protected in this country. And she made it very clear that that was not what her mandate was going to be. It was whatever the Trump administration was doing.
Oregon Senator Ron Wyden came out against Chavez-DeRemer over labor issues, saying her reversal is blatantly anti-worker and calls into question whether she'd be anything more than a tool of Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Adding frustration with what he described as another flip-flop, writing, just months after telling Oregon voters she was pro-choice, she also told senators today she's anti-abortion. I will vote against her confirmation.
So a no from Ron Wyden, and it appears a no from Rand Paul as well. If that holds, Republicans will need at least one Democrat to move Chavez-DeRemer's nomination forward out of committee and to the Senate floor.
We'll see what happens. Thanks so much, Tim. By the way, today demonstrators in Portland and cities across the country gathered in what's called a national day of action in protest against the Trump administration's cuts to federal funding and staff.
One rally was held earlier this afternoon near the South Waterfront. That's where OHSU researchers gathered to protest proposed cuts to federal biomedical research grants that the National Institutes of Health relies on.
This is to fight against the NIH funding freezes because they are coming for our research, and if they stop our research, it's going to cancel healthcare in this country.
A federal judge has stepped in to block those potential cuts, at least for now. A second rally just wrapped up outside the federal building in Northeast Portland's Lloyd district. People gathered there to protest the layoffs of thousands of federal workers, including Bonneville Power staff and National Park and Forest Service employees. We'll hear from one of the Forest Service employees at that rally in Portland today. That's coming up tonight at 11.
And coming up tonight on The Story, the team is taking a closer look at some of the big challenges facing the city of Portland this year, including a massive budget shortfall.
The city has to figure out how to cut $100 million. That means layoffs and potential cuts to public safety. Blair Best joins us now. Blair, you sat down with a really key person in all of this.
So City Administrator Michael Jordan, he's the one that runs the day-to-day operations at the city of Portland. He says they've got some pretty difficult decisions to make when it comes to this year's budget. Now, a major factor in this year's budget gap is due to the loss of tens of millions of dollars in one-time funding that simply ran out. Again, the city is facing a roughly $100 million budget deficit, and all departments, including police and fire, are being told to prepare for potential cuts. Now, Jordan tells me it will be very challenging not to take any cuts from public safety this year. Those departments have been spared in years past. Now, other direct impacts, city staffers. About 120 people will likely lose their jobs, and that, he says, is just the beginning.
The 120 staffers, are we still looking at that number, or is it going to be substantially higher?
It's the beginning number. It's possible that it could go up.
So what departments are you looking at, though, for any potential staff cuts?
Well, all of them, almost.
Now, more with my interview with Jordan, including what this means for community centers, road maintenance, and even Mayor Wilson's aggressive plan to address homelessness. That's coming up next on The Story.
Okay, yeah, grim scene ahead, it looks like. Appreciate you looking into this, Blair. Thank you.